I want a sandwich. Now. Oh, sandwich wench. Yo, wench. Sandwich. Now. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. Sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. Sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. Oh, sandwich wench. I want a sandwich. Sandwich. Hello everyone, welcome back to another political recap stream here on the Moisky Live channel. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. Joining me to discuss some stuff, all of which will get us well and truly demonetized. We really should just go to Rumble. Is TrupsLP? Say hello, Trups.
Hello, TrupsLP.
How is Trups today?
For some reason, in the last 2 minutes, I have waged war mentally on the French.
They deserve it. They deserve it.
I'm just upset because there are certain street names in America that are named after French things. And if you were to approach them as a unknowing of the history of the area, you see it and you go, that's pronounced this way. No, you're wrong. It's obviously French.
Yeah. Well, isn't that because France, Spain, and England, they had all taken regions and then,
Oh yeah, everyone fought for it, and everybody kind of had their own little thing about it, right?
Can't really forgive the French because they're dickheads.
Well, to be fair, they were just kind of getting back at you guys.
They failed at it. Like Punk trying to defeat the metal, they failed. They were stricken down to the ground.
Oh, actually, that just reminded me. You said Punk, and it made me think of the Cody Rhodes news as well.
What's happened?
Oh, he has to go and talk with Triple H about something. I don't know if it's actually part of the story or it's something else.
Okay. See, I'm hoping it doesn't negatively impact the WrestleMania thing too much, but he's a very good orator, I've noticed, and no offense to Cody, he's not. So he's at the point in his career where if he's going to win a world title, this is his last chance realistically to do it because he's not as young.
Yeah, this is the time to do it right now.
Yeah, he's pretty hot still. So yeah, okay, he could. But my view on it is, if he's not going to win, he is an enhancement talent for Roman Reigns' Hulkamania.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what this is. They've given him a long reign for two reasons. One, because they want to try and bury Punk, Lesnar's reigns, get rid of them out of the system. But also try and have someone that comes close to Hulkamania. But then they also had to postpone the original last year for Cody Rhodes because he tore his pec.
Right. I think it's talking about how when he originally signed WWE, he didn't want to.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. His father was never treated that well by WWE originally. That's why he was in WCW mostly.
It was Goldust, wasn't it?
No, that's his brother. His brother. Dustin is his brother. Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, is the generation before. He was not a big. He was never a big WWE guy. And
that's why he was. He wrestled names.
Yeah, he wrestled in the NWA and WCW for a bit. Dustin, the brother of Cody, Goldust. He loved being in the WWE. He was always, when he had his run at Intercontinental, they buried him as an enhancement talent for years. It's why actually Cody Rhodes' nickname is American Nightmare. It's the opposite of his father, American Dream.
Mm-hmm. And he had that heel reign for a bit.
He did when he had his initial run because they were doing the Brat thing. I liked Stardust. I thought it was hilarious that they got this
Oh,
amazing
that
talent.
was so funny.
This
And
amazing
that was
talent.
when Jericho came back, right?
Yeah, they got this amazing talent and put him in a gimp suit and then made him do some. I like the music actually. I liked his wrestling music, but at the same time, that was the Gold Dust character was good for a little while. Stardust had potential, but again, it's never going to be top tier. It's never going to be top shelf. It's never going to be a headliner. And Cody Rhodes could have been that, and he probably can be now if he's lucky. I don't know. I don't really pay enough attention, but if he's got a chance,
we should honestly, like, even on stream or off stream, we should really just like sit and like watch WWE and just chat about it.
oh, have to do it on a different platform. We get struck so fast on this one.
Oh, absolutely. No, we would have to like just sit there, like have our people up, and like we would just be talking about it with it. Like,
Yeah.
in our background.
That'd be,
Anyway, sorry, tangent, because I just remembered seeing
That's all right.
something about it.
That's all right. I don't mind. Tangent's interesting. Hello, chat. Hello, Pantera, Dan, J9, Lulu. Hope you're doing well. I like your eyes. Hello, Cecil. You having a peanut butter whiskey? Oh, sheepdog. I've had one before.
Ooh.
I've had a sheepdog before myself. That's the name of a brand of peanut butter whiskey. It's quite lovely. Yes.
Yes, quite. I actually have recently had a bunch of TikToks that were talking about some people who were doing infused vodkas and infused teas.
That's quite common. Nothing wrong with that, of course. I don't generally drink that stuff myself, but I'm not going to knock anyone that does. I've done infused vodkas in the past with chilies. It's very good. I did it with the Tennessee Fire, actually, which was
the chili in vodka. It's really weird. Like, oh god, it's almost like, I don't know if you ever had like chili powder dusted on top of a Bloody Mary.
I've never had a Bloody Mary. I know what it is. It's very popular in the public clean, but I've never had one.
It's so bizarre because you don't expect something so early in the morning to kick you in the face.
All right.
But it's hot. It's spicy. Like with the right chilies around the edge, like it will actually like, hey, morning. Coffee doesn't have shit compared to.
So I've told this story.
Bloody Mary.
Told this story before. My last year at university, my housemates and I, we forgot about it for over a year. We put some really hot chilies into a bottle of Smirnoff vodka.
Oh, I remember this.
We left it, and I had a split lip, and we poured it. I had a cut on my lip. I drank it. My mouth was on fire. It was
fucking die.
It was pain. It was pain.
Oh, absolutely.
Although there is one vodka I do quite like, but it's a flavored one.
Okay.
And I've got a bottle actually. It's a special limited edition one. I bought it recently. Made by AU Gold, essentially. It's red cherry. It's the Coronation edition. It's a special one for King Charles's coronation on the 6th of May, 2023. But they don't call it vodka. They call it flavored spirit drink because it's more like it's ever so slightly more syrupy. I haven't opened this, by the way, because I don't know if I should. It might go up in value. You never know. But generally, their vodka, I find, is actually quite good. I'm trying to broaden my horizon a little. But beyond that, I'm not really huge on vodka. It doesn't sit very well in my stomach. I've always been a whiskey guy, you know.
A few people are like that, and I mean, everyone has like their different like tolerances when it comes to different.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I don't
know what it is.
Last summer, I think me and a friend of the family, he bought one of nearly every single flavor, and we went through most of them. They brought they actually got a pre-release for a new flavor today, something like pink lemonade or something, the new flavor, and I was like, I'm tempted, but I can't afford it, so it'll have to wait.
Right.
I might try one at some point, but I don't. It's only me at the moment, so there's no real point. And if I want to buy anything in the future, no lie, Knob Creek was the one I wanted to get my hands on at some point. Find out if it's
at this point. I'm just tempted to package it up and fucking
Yeah. It'd be so much easier, wouldn't it?
I mean, I would pay a fair bit in tax, but
well, yeah, that would be a ball ache, wouldn't it? Never mind. Anyway. Where do we start? I'm going to start with something British. We'll start with something. I put 2 sources on the server for it, so I'm going to quickly go grab them. Because there's not much going on in the UK. When Trups and I were talking before we started, I had pointed out that there really is sod all going on over here. And to prove that, I went to the UK politics part of the BBC. The top articles are Labour proposing a council tax freeze, an MP with cerebral palsy mocked for being drunk, because they looked drunk because of their mannerisms. Sewage entering the rivers 825 times a day, and powers to help councils fill in potholes. This is peak UK politics right now. Okay, there's sod all going on, but there was something I saw that caught my attention. And smash the like, people. We got 4. I don't like that. It's not enough. Right. So the close. Sorry, I've got too many tabs open. There we go. Jeremy Corbyn, former leader of the Labour Party, opposition, all that nonsense. You know, I've got top chat open. Why don't I show live chat, you div? Right. Labour's governing body, the National Executive Committee, was set to vote during the week on proposals to officially ban him from standing as a Labour candidate at the next general election. Now, the next general election is next year. He is the MP for Islington North. Islington North recently was in the news. I have a source on it somewhere. Because Islington as a whole have introduced a way of preventing cars from going down roads by introducing curbs that are so high, cars can't actually get up them to park. And so they have to drive so specifically accurate, there is no leeway or wiggle room. You know? It's
I feel like that's an axle problem waiting to happen.
Yes. I mean, if you take a corner ever so slightly too early or too late, you're stuffed. You're going to scratch your car up, and you're going to be and also this high curb thing stops you from just parking up against certain roads to get out, because you can't get out. Your door will not open unless your door opens, unless you have a sliding door that goes up like a Lamborghini. All right?
Because we all have that.
Yes, of course. Now, Keir Starmer was the person that tabled the motion. Corbyn sits as an independent following an argument over anti-Semitism. Keir Starmer says that Jeremy Corbyn is going nowhere. Now, Corbyn is considering running as an independent if he is blocked from becoming Labour candidate. In a statement, Jeremy Corbyn criticised the Labour leader, claiming that Keir Starmer has broken his commitment to respect the rights of Labour members and denigrated the democratic foundations of the party, saying, "I joined the party when I was 16 years old because, like millions of others, I believed in a redistribution of wealth and power. Our message is clear, we are not going anywhere, neither is our determination to stand up for a better world." Obviously, people take the message from that of, when you say distribution or redistribution of wealth and power, you're just saying rob the banks, and apparently they're only owned by the goblins of Harry Potter, who also happen to coincidentally be Jewish. Yeah.
That is what I've heard, yeah.
Yeah. Right, well, that was on the 20... That was 4 days ago, so that would be... I know when that was. Doesn't matter. On the 28th of March, 2 days ago, Jeremy Corbyn was banned from standing as a candidate for the Labour Party. The governing body voted 22-12 to approve a motion to prevent this. So he sits as an independent and essentially has no literal voice in Parliament anymore. No respect, no honour, he's nothing. He's an independent nobody. But he still maintains there's a chance that he could run as an independent. The thing is, Islington North is a Labour constituency. It is very Labour constituency. Even though it's Jeremy Corbyn, and he is very popular there, incredibly popular there, I don't think, while he would want to fight for a fairer society on behalf of the people of Islington North, quote, unquote, end quote, whatever, I don't think he'll win it. I think he'll lose. He's been in Parliament for a while. He's been in Parliament for a long time. He's an institutionalised politician, a career politician, who often said he wasn't one because he had, as far as his career goes, he had always been very anti-everything, everywhere, every time. He was the ultimate king contrarian, as far as I was concerned. Mm-hmm. And I'm very intrigued by Keir Starmer taking this stance. Many have accused Keir Starmer of biting the hand that fed him because Keir Starmer only really got his opportunity when Jeremy Corbyn chose him as his Brexit secretary. I think that's quite interesting. I think it's interesting, you know?
That's a fair point, actually.
But I thought I'd go with this. So the argument, what he's using to cement his argument, Keir Starmer, that is the Equality Human Rights Commission's inquiry in May 2019. It then found Labour had breached the Equality Act by failing to provide training for staff dealing with allegations because of political interference from Jeremy's office in the handling of those complaints. The problem Jeremy has is he doesn't... You know, when a few minutes ago I said he was King Contrarian. He really is, because he refuses, even though he ran to be leader of the party. He played the game then. He refuses to play the game as a whole. Because he refuses to play the game, he refused to deal with these issues when they arose because he was so busy in his echo chamber of far left extremists, who in turn gave me no end of all the amusement in the world, quite frankly, because I covered them in PMQs here on this channel when I did PMQs before only like 3 people would turn up to watch them. If you wonder why I stopped doing them, that was why, people. Sorry, but I'm not bringing it back. I'm not streaming to 3. That's not... No, shut off. Anyway, Corbyn's career's dead. That's the update. I thought I'd share it with you because I thought it was quite interesting that Jeremy Corbyn's career is all but vanquished at this point.
Well, it's funny because I remember us talking about just the accountability, right?
Yeah.
The accountability that we just weren't seeing for a good while on either front, either U.S. or British politics. Whenever we would have these questions, especially when it came up to things that we'll talk about later with Trump, a lot of the question always came down to, well, I mean, they have this thing, like they've probably done something wrong, but is accountability ever going to come for them? Probably not. Like,
I will admit,
hard doubt.
When they first lost, when they first went up against Theresa May and Theresa May barely won, I was concerned. I was very concerned. I was very concerned because I thought, shit, they're actually gaining a foothold here. This madness is being given a platform to spread. Now, of course, for the sake of entertainment purposes, much like when Trump won in 2016, I was kind of partially in favour of it because I knew it would benefit me in getting views. But in all seriousness, unlike Trump, where I actually saw he actually had accomplished some reasonably decent things, I don't believe Corbyn could have accomplished anything reasonable that would have benefited the people without bankrupting the nation. And that was a big issue. I could find it amusing, but I was very much aware that he really didn't have any understanding of anything economic, because his version of economics was to latch onto the idea of socialism akin to that of Venezuela, not realizing that by doing that, he himself would become a despot, which would never work in a constitutional monarchy in the slightest. It just wouldn't work. And he tried to abolish the monarchy. That wouldn't work either. Like, he's the only dickhead who I think would have turned up for the Queen's funeral in dungarees and said, I'll dig the hole if you let me plant my onions on top. He has an allotment. That's what the joke is.
No.
He likes to make chutney, which I'm okay with. Chutney's cool.
But do you think it's almost like too little too late? Because I remember these kinds of allegations heading his way.
Oh, yeah.
Years ago.
They didn't need to do this at all, to be honest. His political career at the front is gone. His voice at the back is almost gone anyway. He doesn't really say much anymore because he knows he has some allies, but he doesn't really have allies. Momentum were the only union on really giving him all that backing, and they're not really talking about him either anymore because they're trying to find a younger person to take his place. And those that were younger, oh God, what's her name? Was it Rebecca Long Bailey? I think her name was.
I believe so.
Rebecca Long Bailey. She is a member of Parliament for Salford and Eccles. Eccles case. She, to be honest, she was the best chance for them. But when she took an office position under Keir Starmer at the Shadow Secretary for State Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, no, that wasn't it. No, she was Shadow Secretary of State for Education. She cocked up and she got yeeted for it. Although I will give her one iota of credit. She was opposed to the extradition of Julian Assange. I actually agreed with that. I didn't think he should have been, but I don't. I don't know. She was the best hope, and now she's just a nobody for that very left-leaning. Although Angela Rayner, the deputy for Labour, she's a gobby chav, and she could be something maybe, but she's not. She's just, well, actually, if you want to, I'm not someone to pick on people's appearance, But if you go look at her Wikipedia and look at the picture of her profile picture, that is
How do you spell the name?
sorry, Angela
How do you spell the name? Angela.
Rayner, Rayner. She is someone that looks really stupid. I'm sorry, but
Oh, I think I've seen this person before.
she looks stupid. And Hardly Dan Eccles cakes are banging. I couldn't agree more. Fresh Eccles cakes from my bakery in town. I'll get a couple of those. I might get some tomorrow. Bosh, having it. Yeah, no, she looks stupid. I'm sorry. She's actually, and the thing is, she's done PMQs a few times. She's stupid. I'm sorry if that sounds harsh, by the way. I don't pick on people for appearance. I really don't like to make it a point. But she looks dumb. And then she says things, and I'm like, yeah, no, you're stupid. Donna Noble is a goddess. We don't ever speak ill of her like that, Nathan, ever again. Disney using royal claws to block Ron DeSantis. I know nothing of that, but I would ask Trups.
What?
Have you heard of Disney using royal claws to block Ron DeSantis?
No, I have not.
There we go. There's your answer. Very well. Yeah,
that sounds like fucking cancer.
It does sound a bit like that, doesn't it? For the sake of it, I still maintain Rebecca Long Bailey would have been their best chance. The shrew. She has a really small face and a massive forehead. I think she was their best chance to be a leader at some point. She's a proud socialist, according to her Twitter. Yeah. So, no. Moving on. How's things in America?
Well, that's a great question. I guess it really depends on whether or not you want to know about our. Do you want to know about our money? Do you want to know about our wars? Because we got all of that shit. But if you ask any media person today what the major story is, I would. I don't think I can reasonably say that it's anything but Donald Trump has been voted by the grand jury of Southern District of New York to be indicted on apparently like 30-ish charges, but we don't know what those charges are yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we could very well get into what we think about that, because basically this is the district where he was being investigated for the alleged hush money payments sent to Stormy Daniels. Through a long and convoluted process, basically what it came down to was Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, was or is the star witness, basically saying that what Trump signed off as legal fees in the hush money payment itself, he did not report it correctly on a campaign finance declaration that basically said, what it is you spend your money on and that kind of stuff. Like, there are certain rules once you become a presidential candidate and your finances become extremely scrutinized.
Yeah.
I believe they really solidified that during McCain-Feingold. It was a Supreme Court case that had to do with campaign finance. And basically, that wasn't properly disclosed as something that his campaign had paid for.
I have questions.
So, yes.
Firstly, I thought Trump had paid for the campaign. I know he got donations, but I thought he paid for it with his own money anyway.
Yes, but even still, if you use money that is for a campaign for personal purposes, that is still technically campaign finance violations.
Right.
You are very scrutinized, and that is even if you cannot even make your own money.
Okay.
So, for example, when he became a presidential candidate in 2016, he handed off his company's ownership to, I believe, his son.
Yeah, he did. But didn't Ivana have something to do it briefly as well?
Oh, it was Ivana. It was Ivanka.
Yeah, Ivanka. Yeah. So next question then, I guess, is there any proof that he actually did pay off Stormy Daniels, or that there was an affair in the first place?
There is a book that Stormy Daniels had wanted to wanted to put out,
Yeah.
and it was right before the election was going to take place. And basically, they had said, okay, well, we don't want you publishing this book. Now, whether the book is true or not, we don't know at this point. But they said, okay, fine, we don't want you publishing this book. How much to make you, be quiet and not do that?
I have
Because it will impact the.
I have another question then. Stormy Daniels was paid hush money. I assume, if say she was, and there was no legal agreement in this, then I guess no legal thing to say that she must not speak up on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she breached that kind of almost a gentleman's agreement thing, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, well, that bitch needs to pay that money back then.
Well, yes.
I'm sorry. Them's the rules. I don't make them. It's a gentleman's agreement. We agree to these things.
Well, not only that, but they had a contract. It was a settlement.
Yeah. Therefore, she needs to pay it back. Come on, bitch. Pay up. get to work.
Right. Basically, that is essentially how it worked. Now, according to Trump, the thing was under seal, and it was supposed to be confidential. That that settlement.
Yeah.
And that is why Trump had publicly denied the existence of such things, according to him.
Which is well within his right to, isn't he?
Oh, I do believe so. The problem is that when you start getting into, like, what do you say on a legal deposition, and are you technically under oath, or are you expected to be telling the truth at risk of perjury? These parts get very convoluted, very confusing, and are, in my opinion, intentionally made to trip somebody up, in my opinion.
They do plenty of that, don't they?
Yes. Well, there's a saying, show me the man and I'll show you what crimes he's committed.
Yeah, no, I get that. So I have a final question then. Weeks ago, last week I think I mentioned it that it was said a week earlier Trump would be arrested willingly, in cuffs, read his rights, and a photo taken of him. And it isn't until this Tuesday where he appears in a court, but he won't be in handcuffs.
Yes.
So the query is, the fuck happened?
So a week ago, Trump had basically came out and said that, based on knowledge that he allegedly had, that he was going to be arrested on that Tuesday. There is no indication, and many of the individuals in charge of the investigation basically said that was never the plan. He's making shit up. Whatever. Ignore him. Right?
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Some people believe him. Some people don't. Some people think that it actually just chilled the immediate resolution of that. I kind of feel like it would be more along the lines of they were gonna do it, and then Trump said they were gonna do it, and so they took a step back and said, "How did he know that?"
There was a theory posited that even with this playing out, which never needs to play out the way it is. Now, I'm sorry, but this is way too public. I get, but not this level of public. You know what I mean? Like, this is not worth this. Even it doesn't matter who it is. I promise you, I would say this for a Democrat president. I'd say it for any prime minister. Any ruler of a nation. This is nowhere near as a bigger deal as they're making it seem like it is.
Oh yeah, I had made the comment last week when I asked about Boris Johnson and the whole party thing. That as well, I think, is just like, you're making a mountain out of a molehill.
I think the only thing that separated it was that was a genuine that was a guy still in. There was a slight difference, I guess. But I do get the comparison. I do agree the comparison. It just seemed redundant to waste time doing it so late after the fact. In this one, it's for something that isn't it called a kind of fraud or something? Yeah?
Yes. So it would be campaign finance violations that would be tantamount to, I guess you could call it fraud.
And what would be the punishment for that? A fine?
So it really depends on the jurisdiction. In this case, because it happened in New York has jurisdiction over it, but they're trying to make it a felony, which plays a very interesting kind of game, in that the felony part makes it a potentially something that either he can't run anymore as a presidential candidate. So
that leads to the part I was going to go to, and that is if they can't do that, all they've done is invigorate his run. I'm sorry, but he can run and use that to show that they're willing to Democrats abuse democracy, abuse it in the same way they claim he did. Which, by the way, Mantar is free. Like, I'm sorry, you can't use it's the one rule for me, but not for the thing. And
absolutely.
by the way, Mantar was released this week. I think that the storming the Capitol thing, you saw that it wasn't anywhere near the level that everyone claims. I'm sorry, shut up if you think it was. Honestly, it's embarrassing to think it was that way. I'm not right. I don't get how you can be so naive as to, not you, but how many can be so naive as to not see how they're being played by institution politicians who are solely seeking to protect their power because they realized when somebody who wasn't a politician took it from them, how vulnerable and useless, impotent they were, and they couldn't take an L. Like, I'm sorry, this was beyond the pale.
Listen to how based and red-pilled Meg is now.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize I'm a bit late to the party, everyone. I didn't realize that.
Wow. It's just, you don't always say it on live.
yeah. Thanks, man. Thanks. I'm cringing at the thought of it.
No, absolutely. No, but you are correct. And this isn't necessarily actually even a political thing at its face. Like, the fact that people believe fundamentally, there are some in both of our countries that believe that the institution or the government is your friend, is wholly it is so beyond wrong that it's almost hilarious to consider that people actually believe it. The government has never been your friend. The idea that, there's a reason why if you're pulled over by a cop, you don't actually answer any of his questions. Just whenever he asks you for stuff, you just hand it to him.
Yeah.
And then you go on your way. Like you don't be difficult. Well, you can be if you want to be like a First Amendment auditor or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you were genuinely in the wrong, don't say a word. Don't tell them where you're coming from or where you're going. It's unnecessary information that they're trying to just find out stuff. And no, cops are not necessarily your friends. You have a right to remain silent. Do that. But it's the same thing. The cops are the extension or the reach of the government. They are not your friends.
Yeah. Okay, so if they're ignoring that they're trying to push for a certain thing, let's go with then they are unsuccessful in their attempts. What is the charge he faces?
Likely, it would be campaign finance violations.
Okay.
Which could be anywhere from a fine to, I believe, up to 2 to 5 years in prison for normal people.
Okay.
I say normal people because you have first of all, we don't know what the charges are. So the charging document, the actual indictment, is under seal at the moment. And the prosecutors and the courthouse have basically said that today they have no intention of sharing that information. So basically what I think is they're just letting people stew on it and absorb the news and drum up all the news and all the press that they want to about it and use their speculation.
Okay.
I think that's irresponsible because then what you get is a whole bunch of people being, well, the way that they are and deciding whether or not they actually want to, give the credence to this, this indictment without thinking that it's a political hit job, which most everybody else does believe. So I think it's almost irresponsible not to disclose that information while also saying, yes, we are going to file the indictment. Like, either release both at the same time or don't tell.
Okay.
I think that would just be more responsible in general, because you already know that people have been trying to drum up, protests on behalf of Donald Trump. even Ron DeSantis, I think, had come out, I think, yesterday and said that Florida will not support an extradition of the president. So Ron was presumably trying to be in good graces with the Trump campaign and the Trump supporters by basically trying to shove it to the government, right? Give them a big old middle finger and say, nah, we will not extradite the former president for your sham trial.
Yeah.
Which, great, awesome. But Trump apparently is going to go willingly.
I think it's good optics for him to do it.
Well, it is, but it's also good optics in a different sense for him to go unwillingly. It's just whether or not you want to play the peace game or the violence game. I'm happy to say that he chose the peace game, though I think a lot of people want the violence game because they want an excuse.
Oh yeah, any excuse.
For on both sides, by the way, both people. And extradition to Deep Dive Gaming, extradition from Florida, his Mar-a-Lago home, to New York, where this his indictment is from, and where he previously held residence and where he launched his campaign from. So I don't know what besides campaign finance. But Michael Cohen has been doing interview after interview after interview, never shutting the fuck up about this stuff, and he can't help himself. He likes hearing himself talk, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the Trump nonsense.
Okay, so I guess with that we need to move on to the other. Oh dear. This one is a guaranteed. Yeah. Right, if Trump didn't get us demonetized, this next subject will. We're going to have to now discuss the shooting in one of your states. Tennessee, was it?
Yes.
Okay. So what happened? Because I'm not as clued up on this. I've only seen the video of the police as they went through the entire building and then the end of it.
So it was a trans man. Trying to do this as correctly as possible.
Trans man, male, female to male, or male to female?
Female to male.
Oh, right. I did not expect that.
Right. I thought so too. I thought so as well. Apparently,
sorry about that.
their original name was Ashley.
Okay.
And they made this post. They're gonna go do a bad thing. I want to die. I'm gonna go do a bad thing. Don't I'm sorry. That was their post, and then that bad thing ended up being that they walked into a Catholic elementary school and killed 3 9-year-olds and 3 teachers, 3 faculty members, one of which was a custodian actually, and
custodian?
One of them was a school administrator. Yes, and one of them was a school administrator.
No, what is a custodian? We don't. Is that some armed
janitor?
Oh, the janitor. Right. Okay. Custodian to me sounds like a guardian. You know.
Oh no! I'm sorry. Custodian is ones would also consider it groundskeeper. You could say.
Yeah.
But like in colloquial terms in America, that usually means a
I get you now.
Janitor.
Okay. Carry on.
So yeah. So that happened.
So when are we rounding up all your guns then?
I'm sorry.
When are we rounding up all your guns and incinerating them to make a new bridge?
Yes, so they did want to do that. Of course, any shooting is an excuse for Democrats to push gun control.
Yeah.
And they are trying very, very hard to do so. Unfortunately, I don't think that it's going to help them at all.
Why not?
Well, because a lot of the times when it comes to like handling the arguments from gun control lobbyists,
Right.
their arguments are sometimes completely not ineffectual, but they're nonsensical. Like, for example, one of them, Joe Biden has actually made, and several members of Congress have made, is they have said, you know why you don't hunt with an AR-15? It's because when you shoot a deer, there's no deer left. I'm sorry. There's no way that a 22 rifle is going to do that.
So I don't know this because AR-15 is not all that common over here. I do want to highlight the owner's comments. There's something I saw a lot of, and it's what we mentioned just before you and I started, in fact. We were talking about this, so we had extra context, and I'd mentioned that I've seen a lot of videos on Twitter, people saying that many within the trans community now need to stand up, make their voices heard, and and I get that aspect, thinking that perhaps others are going to blame you for it, but to jump on it and then to also say things like, they may have been a shooter, but their pronouns were he, him, and I'm like,
Right.
bitch, I don't give a fuck. There were children being shot. You're nothing to me. Your human rights mean shit. Like, you're not worth my... I'm not going to give you any respect. I don't care what your gender pronouns are. You know why?
Right.
Because you're not worthy of the title of human.
Right. At that point, you've killed people. You've killed people, and not only just like because you had a reason, but because you were selfish.
Mm.
So
I agree.
At that point, you are not a person. You are scum.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't give a shit.
I don't care, and I'm not. It's not a case of but we need to get into the habit of not misgendering people. Bitch, I don't give a shit. They look dead to me.
The only reason why I specified the beginning was because I needed to make sure that I remembered what because I called them trans woman at first, and I was just wrong. And I was like, oh, shit, hang on, I was incorrect.
The thing is, also, they looked remarkably dead to me. I will admit, we did make a minor assumption at the start that it was trans woman, male to female. And that's because we clearly have a bias when it comes, a prejudice when it comes towards males being more inclined to do that kind of dumb shit, okay?
Oh, actually, my inclination was actually because I feel like men transition more than women.
That too. I thought the other one personally, but I'm not going to respect anyone that harms a child. I couldn't care what your pronouns are. I'm not going to blame a community for that one person. It's the one person, not a guilt by association. Because it turns out I'm better than you. I'm not interested in this asinine crap. It's tripe. It's tripe, gauche, nonsense, unoriginal bollocks. I'm sorry, if you're so sensitive that the gender pronouns of a child killer matter so much to you, I think you need to consider sitting on a serrated dildo.
And not only that, but I think that they are making a huge mistake by trying to manifest a militia out of this. I believe, if I remember correctly,
massive deflection.
Tomorrow is supposed to be a day of rage, right? For transgender, for transgender people, and there's supposed to be a bunch of protests and whatnot. And I think this is a horrible way to go about it. Like, at that point, what you want to do is you want to split yourself. You want to differentiate from the person who just committed a crime. You want to say, hey, look, that person, they had issues. We don't associate with people who use violence as a means to an end.
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to do. But they're doing it they're going a different direction. When I say they, I mean media representation of that community.
Okay.
They are basically saying, we need to act, we need to muster because we are now in danger.
Yeah.
Because the people, the rest of the community is now going to look at us as if we are some kind of evil. And we need to stand up and, I guess, prove them right? Question mark?
This all sounds like a massive projection.
Yeah, kind of.
Deflection 101. This. All right. Mm-hmm. I'm not impressed. It's really, really sad that you've made it. You're making it more about yourselves, but not actually addressing. It's not about you guys. It's about someone who killed children.
Unfortunately, in the LGBT community, as a person who has not only been in that community and has since distanced himself from those who represent themselves in that community, and you know, being by myself, I really hate, because this is so common amongst that group of people, is it's almost always about them.
Yeah.
Now, I don't mean them as in an individual. I mean them as a
Narcissism.
collective group.
Such a narcissism thing.
It can be about them, but like one of the best like explanations, right, is the almost the requirement or the expectation that a man, a straight man, should have to date a trans woman, so a male to female, because if you don't, it's transphobic.
Yeah.
Those are one of the things that I just get so pissed off about, because look, you just because you went through a procedure or you have HRT does not mean you can start demanding other people sleep with you. And I think this is also the same reason why the lesbians in the LGBTQ are also equally wary of a lot of entitled trans women. Because lesbians primarily are kind of like the oomph behind the LGBTQ community.
Right.
At least they used to be. But when they say, "Hey, look, I don't want to deal with men. I only want to be with women," and you come at them and go, "Hey, look, I've got a dick, but I identify as a woman," and they say, "I don't want that," and you say, "Yeah, too bad. That's wrong."
Obviously.
Right. It's like this just seems normal, but unfortunately, the LGBT community as a group or as a media representation has decided that everything and anything about that community is about themselves and their own furtherance of their views, whether or not it's reasonable. But in regards to the shooting, trying to get back on track, so the person broke in, and then I believe it was two officers who I believe were working in tandem with the fire and EMS. They bust in, and they're going through the school. First sight of the person, 3 shots. They move around as the person moves around, another 4 shots. Person's down. It was efficient. It was effective, in stark contrast to Uvalde.
Oh, fucking... I was wondering you were going to bring that up. By the way, I just want to quickly highlight... I've been silent for a minute because I went to look at... I went to go and look at... In the chat, I noticed a comment that said... big ups to the reporter who covered the aftermath, who was also a survivor of a school shooting. And I was like, oh, that just reminded me of somebody. But it's not that person. No, this reminded me of David Hogg.
Oh, God.
And I went to his Twitter 8 minutes ago. 8 minutes ago. All right, we're holding a rally with students, alumni, professors, and community members calling for an end to gun violence. Underneath at Harvard Yard, they're doing a protect kids, not guns thing. Yeah, his Twitter is cancer, but you know what? I can't believe he's actually doing this. Motherfucker, is he at Harvard? How the fuck did he get into Harvard? He's
because people financed his.
He's stupid. It's fine.
I know.
It's fine. It's fine.
I know that. You know that. We all know that.
I'm sorry, but I've got more qualifications than him. He can fuck off. But yeah, it just reminded me of David Hogg, so I thought I'd look him up. And yeah, no, he's thing is, he's milking the fuck out of this with his own clout. I'm sorry, or for his own clout. I'm sorry, but I have no respect for you. You can claim you're doing all these protests against end gun violence because that's how it works. We'll do a Q snap and it's all over. You can't banning it won't change it either. You ban guns, I promise you, you will end up with a civil war anyway. And it's not going to stop people who commit crimes from using them anyway. We can prove that with the United Kingdom, where you told me before the stream You looked up gun violence shootings in the UK, and there was one recently. Guns are mostly illegal here. Because guess what? Criminals do stupid shit like break the law. It's not rocket science, people.
And then not only that, but I also saw that Scotland had a mass shooting last year, 16 school children or something like that.
Yeah. By the way, again, states with the most relaxed gun laws had the lowest gun shooting incidents. Vermont.
Lowest gun laws and less dense populations.
Yeah. Vermont does better. And yeah, the dense population thing makes a lot of sense as well, because you put too many people close together, like in cities. Yeah, nah. Shit's gonna kick off because people get too... there's too much hormone in the air, okay?
Yeah, really. And also, like, I mean, even having lived in an apartment, I could see where people would get upset with one another.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a relatively easygoing guy, but I can see where that might piss people off eventually.
During lockdown, I have 2 sisters that live here. They're 3 kids. And this is before I had my cabin. And it was, for me, it was not easy to do my job. Because this room I have now is 2.7 meters one way by about 2.5 the other. And it's not even a square room. It's got about a quarter of it missing. So it's slightly a slight L to it. It's a small room. And this is all my own personal space I had then. And when I had to be around the house, the kids are all there. They're all loud, obnoxious, and arguing. And I try to... it's not easy to, in a very small, confined space. If you're in a city, oh, my life. I lived in Norwich, and that's a city, but I wasn't stupid enough to live right by the bloody city centre, because that was too much. I can't be arsed with it.
I mean, I have to give people a lot of credit. When I was in college, there was a dorm that was right next to a fucking train track. And by law, a lot of trains have to blow their horn as they pass through metropolitan areas. Even at 3 a.m. And I was like, bro, like one of my best friends from college, who actually lives like 10 minutes away from me, I asked him, like, how the fuck do you sleep at night when a fucking train barrels next to your window and blares his horn? He goes, after a while, you forget about it. Like, how the fuck do you forget about it?
Sorry, but I can't. Nah. Actually, I say that. I noticed today police cars in my area, they're Peugeots. Their badges look a bit different now. And I looked at it and I thought, the front end of that car looks very familiar. And I realised it looks like the cars from RoboCop now. Legit, their cars...
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it looks cool, but they've got those stupid... Our police cars have high-vis labels all over them.
Oh, I hate your cars.
Yeah, the car looks great without the high-vis on it.
Cars.
Well, if it didn't have the high-vis stickers all over it, it'd look fantastic. But it looks like lit. Why do you need those? You've got massive fucking lights on top and sirens. You don't need the high-vis shit.
There was a Need for Speed. I believe it was Need for Speed 2, or no, Hot Pursuit 2, and it was on the GameCube. And one of the cars that you could get was
got it on the Switch.
And one of the cars you could get was a fucking UK, a UK cop car. And man, I gotta tell you, that thing is depressing when you look at it next to like a Charger or a Mustang or a fucking cop Lamborghini. Like, it's so weird to look at.
It's not ideal. That's what I'll do. I'm gonna for you. I'll DM you. I'm gonna put on our work server a picture of the current police car, because it does on the face of it. I thought RoboCop the first time I saw it, just because the badge on the front. That looks all right, minus the high vis shit on the side. Okay, get rid of the police Rosa shite. I'd actually drive that car. Just because the badge looks cool.
Yeah, no, totally.
It's a bit of an improvement on the. I'll show you the predecessor just so you have it. Carry on with the shooting thing, by the way, because I'm kind of curious. Will this lead to any discernible change in Tennessee?
Okay, so that's a rough one, because I don't think so. I genuinely do not think that there will be any change coming from Tennessee. just because of what it would have to do, right? So if you were about to say, okay, well, we're going to do this, we're going to enact some sort of nondescript gun regulation, you're basically going to create an area, especially in Tennessee, where I think they had just like allowed open carry. I think they had just like allowed that recently,
Right.
without a permit. Like, you are not going to get Tennessee to agree to to disarm themselves. Like, you won't. And not only that, but you shouldn't. You shouldn't expect your populace in response to criminals to say, all right, we're done here. We will no longer protect ourselves. And that's just the way that it is. Like, there's no way in hell that you are going to get anybody to go along with that. No way.
Okay.
In Tennessee, I don't know. Actually, I think I reposted it. I'm gonna take a look, sees, because I believe Kane,
Glenn Jacobs, mayor of Knoxville.
Yes, he made a great statement. So I'm gonna read out Glenn Jacobs' tweet from earlier today, or sorry, yesterday.
Okay.
So he was saying this in response to Karine Jean-Pierre's, the press secretary to the White House, to their statement on confiscation of semi-automatic rifles, and they say that basically they won't rule it out. So Glenn Jacobs writes, the same people who imposed draconian lockdowns on society, shuttered businesses, destroying livelihoods and the economy, locked kids out of schools, mandated ineffective forced masking, coerced individuals to take a shot that has proven ineffective and perhaps even dangerous at the cost of losing their jobs, even threatened jail for those refusing the vax, screamed about the free abortion on demand, compelled female athletes to compete against biological males, defunded the police, were apologists for widespread violent riots, looting, arson, and even murder. These same people now want to take our guns under the guise of protecting us? Yeah, I'll pat.
Right.
So that's the duly elected mayor of Knoxville County. So that should tell you about where they sit on the whole thing. Basically, it doesn't look like it's gonna go well for anybody who wants to impose that kind of stuff.
It's very unfortunate that they just brought in open carry and this happens not long after.
Well, the problem is that, so you know how, like, in terms of guns, in terms of legislating policy, it's this constant tug of war.
Yeah.
I know Republicans have floated the idea that retired military veterans, some of them have volunteered, have literally said, please, for the love of God, ask me to go and defend a school. I will do it for free. I just need to be told to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a great idea. Like, why not give these people who clearly care and want to do that, let them go and defend our schools. If they want to do that, there is no reason why I would say that we shouldn't. Unfortunately, that hasn't been able to just happen.
Right.
It doesn't work as well as we would like. Where that kind of thing would be really nice to just have. It don't play. It don't work. So I mean, the person who walked in, shot out the glass, and walked through the school door. Like, there wasn't much else to be done about it.
Yeah, I saw the as I'd mentioned, I saw the video on the Quarterings Twitter, the full 6-minute video of this this police operation. It was very methodical.
Yeah, because give people who are trained to do something an opportunity to go and do that thing, and a lot of them will actually do pretty well. There are people who will fail, but the vast majority will do pretty well.
Yeah.
And I think it's a shame that we have chastised or otherwise downplayed the potential impact and the good that it could do if you put more resources into defending our kids. Unfortunately, that's just not on Democrat papers. They don't want to do that. Okay, well, we tried. We'll keep trying every time this comes up, I guess. And that's really a shame, honestly. I don't like that we have to do it like that, but that's the way that politics wants to roll. So that's where we're stuck, unfortunately. In terms of what I think about this this shooter, there is a manifesto allegedly, but I believe that the district attorney did not want to disclose it just yet. Excuse me. And I believe the reason why was he said that it had the potential to lead to violence, which makes my brain go curious. I want to know. I want to know what the fuck that could say that could make violence happen. That's an interesting thing to say. Like that's a weird one.
It is a little bit, isn't it? It's a little bit strange.
Yeah, a tad. And so I'm kind of interested to know, what do you mean? what are you talking about? Because I would like to know.
I doubt they'll give you an answer.
Of course they won't. But yeah, I do want to see it. I want to know what else is going through their mind and why they targeted that school.
Okay, so that part, I genuinely don't understand any of the motivation at all.
I believe they were a former student of that school.
What did they put them through? Some kind of conversion therapy?
Well, it was a Christian school.
So they put them through conversion therapy then?
I presume, actually, it was just that they thought that it was a hive of, right-wing ideology. And ideology that otherwise would put people like them, in a negative space.
Yeah.
I don't know that for certain. I'm essentially straw manning what I think they might think. So feel free to disregard that until we have definitive evidence. But it's just what I would imagine if I were that person, based on all the things I've ever seen them write about.
Yeah.
That sounds like it tracks.
Does a bit, doesn't it?
Well, that plus there have been several posts that have been talking about like good. Like some people have literally said like good. That it was Christians that got shot.
See, I'm not okay with anyone of any faith being shot. And especially with their faith aspect, it means nothing to me.
Oh, not only that, but it's a faith thing and children.
Yeah, the children part's the thing. Yeah. Nah, fam.
Like, I don't even care if, sure, fine, indoctrinate a kid at they're 9 years old. But, hello, you were one of those people too, right? And then you grew up to be the person you are today. Did you want them not to do that? Like, because you killed them. They don't get that chance anymore. They don't get the chance to renounce their faith or make decisions on their own because you took away that chance. And that's the part that really gets me whenever I see those people. And then the audacity of people who are like, thoughts and prayers do nothing for dead children. I fucking lost my goddamn mind.
So cynical. It's intentional cynicism just to bait people for that response.
Yeah. And not only that, but it's like, I've said it before. If a genuine religious person tells you that their thoughts and prayers are with you, that is them calling on the literal maker of the universe to show you love and mercy. That is the highest power they can appeal to. They didn't say, "Oh, I'm going to write a letter to the president, on behalf of you." No. They said, "I'm going to pray to the literal maker of everything to provide your family with comfort and easing of pain." And you want to tell me that no, you don't want that? You don't want people to give you the most comfort that they can possibly come up with? Now, sure, I get the argument that, like, no, not everybody says that in earnest. Okay, so? So what? Some people say, "Oh, my condolences for your loss," but they don't know why they're saying it. It's just the thing that you say. Because some people they don't feel anything. They're just saying, "Oh, you lost somebody in your family? I'm sorry for that." Cool. It's a comforting word. And that's all that is. Now, some people don't like it because they know that it's just words.
Again,
Okay, cool.
that's just the cynicism aspect, isn't it?
I know it is. But, like, I know people who are like, "Yes, please and thank you. I'll take anything I can get right now because I'm struggling." And then I know some people who are like, "I don't want to hear it because I'm dealing with this my way and I don't want to hear it from other people."
Yeah, that's fair. People handle things their own way.
And both are valid. But mildly personal to end the stream on. I made a giant rant on my personal Facebook about the whole, like, thoughts and prayers thing. And I get a message from one of my friends from LARP, and they say, "Hey, thank you for saying that. My cousin was one of the kids who got shot." And I was like, "Oh, okay. I'm terribly sorry. My thoughts and prayers are legitimately, like, with you and everyone in your family. If there's anything I can do, please let me know." And at that point, I didn't know what to do, right? I don't know what to do. But I'm happy that, like, my rant made them say, "Hey, by the way, thank you." Because I know they see other people who we are mutual friends with, like, absolutely shitting on that whole thing. So I'm happy that I could give them that solace in that, in that tiny instance. I'm glad I could. But some of these other people who are just so cynical and so just hell-bent on making things like the worst possible way, nah, fuck them.
Very well. We will finish the stream with this because it's getting late for me and I'll need to sleep soon. Is there anything Trups would like to shill before we finish?
No, thank you.
Very well. Then we are going to depart. Will Trups be here next week?
I think so.
Damn.
I think I've got one more week before my next LARP event.
Damn, 4 in a row potentially. We're on a roll here,
Fuck
fam.
yeah, full month.
This show will be on Spotify tomorrow because I'm working on the computer most of the day. I have no excuse. Yeah.
Woo.
Thanks for joining, folks. We will be back here next week then. Say goodnight, Trups.
Good night, Trups.
Good night, Trups.